Welcome to our next level 3 trigonometry video. We're now going to turn our attention to using a graphics calculator to be able to enter into trigonometric graphs. Right, let's come back to an example from our last video. We're going to come up with the equation of this trigonometric graph. So here we go. We know the graph has moved up 2 squares, so the vertical shift D is 2. We can see that the graph has an amplitude of 1 square, so A is 1. We are going to treat it as a cosine graph. The cosine graph starts at its maximum, and it's also being moved pi radians to the negative direction, to the left. So because it's moved to the left, C is positive pi radians. And we're going to work out the period of this graph. To do that, we're just going to go the maximum x value of the period is 3 pi, subtract the minimum is negative pi. Remember, when we subtract a negative, we add, so 3 pi plus pi makes a period of 4 pi. So now let's use our formula. Period is equal to 2 pi over b. We're going to swap the b and the period over, so b is equal to 2 pi divided by the period. The period we've just worked out is 4 pi, and the pi's cancel, leaving us a value of b equal to 1/2 or 0.5. Right. So here's the equation of our graph. Y is equal to 1. We don't need to put the 1 there, by the way, times sine of b. B's out the front of the brackets, half. Open up brackets, go x plus pi, because we're moving it to the left. C is plus pi, close bracket, and plus d, which is 2. Now this is the way we write it on paper. However, when we enter it into a calculator, or if we're trying to solve calculations with this equation, it is often better to write it in a slightly different way, because b's out the front. We're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to multiply the b into the brackets to get 1 times sine bracket 1x over 2 plus pi over 2. Or here's a different way, in the way I prefer, we put a double bracket around the half bracket x plus pi. Now I prefer the second way, because you can clearly see the values of A, B, C, and D, whereas if you use the first way, some people get caught up thinking this is the value of C, but it's not. C is pi, not pi over 2. So I personally don't like using this way, and I prefer to use this way when I use my calculator. Right, let's show you how we enter this into our calculator. So on the graphics calculator, we're going to come into the graph mode. Now, just before we carry on, I'm going to go Shift Menu, and I'm going to race down and check I'm in radians. If you were in degrees, just flick it over to radians, which is F2, and then execute to get out of there. Right, now you don't need to type y equals, so we're just going to start with the amplitude of 1. You don't need the 1 there, by the way. Sine. Now I'm going to use my technique of bracket first, then half, and I'm just going to type in 0.5 for half. Then I'm going to go a second bracket. Then I'm going to go x plus shift exponent brings up pi. Then I'm going to close my second bracket and close my first bracket, and then go plus 2. So I've used my trick here of using double bracket. Now I'm going to draw my graph. Now, if you can't get a very good look at the graph here, like me, it's because your settings are not set up the same as what's on this graph here. So I'm going to go into F3, which is my view window, and change my X and Y settings. So on my X-axis, my minimum value I'm going to go is negative pi, so shift exponent, negative pi. And my maximum is 3 pi, so I'm going to type in 3 pi. Now come down to my y value. My minimum is negative 4, and my maximum up here, it's underneath, it's hard to see, but my maximum value is 5. So now I can go execute and redraw the graph, and you can see a good looking graph that is similar to the one on the screen. Right, well, thanks very much for watching.